Round 3, Nate Diaz returned to the octagon Saturday, got the win, and in true 209 fashion, made the most of his time on the mic. Nate appears to have a lot of options for his next opponent. So Chael, were you surprised by his call-out of Jorge Masvidal?
Oh, very much so, in a pleasant way. Listen, Ariel, I would go as far as to say this call-out was baffling to me. I think that everybody expected Nate to do what Nate always does, which is to grab the microphone and call out Conor McGregor. Problem with that, he's not getting the Conor fight. Look, when Conor comes back, most likely Conor's fighting at 155 pounds, and even more likely than that, Conor's going to be fighting for a title. Nate's not at 155, and Nate doesn't have a current title. Now, here's why I love the Masvidal fight. It makes sense, Ariel. It's a fight that he can get. It's obtainable. Masvidal would do it. One of the other reasons it was surprising to me, usually the bad guys stick together. Bad guys just don't call out bad guys. Heel versus heel doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's something very special. I think it was a call out that he can get. I think it's a call out he will get. And Ariel, if I can be a little bit wordy, but we did ask Nate Diaz on the set of ESPN afterwards, why did you call out Masvidal? I loved his reasoning. Ariel, guess what? This doesn't come from heat. It's just the opposite. He said, listen, Chael, I feel I've been disrespected in the sport based on how long I have been here, based on my longevity and how long I've done it. I feel my brother Nick is also underappreciated for how long he has been here and the opportunities that he's been given. You got a champion that's been here for 2 years. He goes, I went and looked at Masvidal's record. Masvidal's been doing this longer than I have. He deserves something good to happen to him. I have the golden ticket right now, and I want to hand it to a guy who's deserving, which is Masvidal. Those are his words.
Good stuff. I'm a little offended. I'm a little shocked right here, sitting here, because clearly you don't read my weekly Monday column on ESPN.com, where several weeks ago I said, and I quote, "Don't be surprised if Nate Diaz calls out, Jorge Masvidal after the victory on Saturday night." And what did he do? He called out Jorge Masvidal. I knew this was coming, Chael. If you read the tea leaves, you know that these days he's not into calling out Conor McGregor. He's not into that right now. He doesn't want to seem like he's chasing Conor. Masvidal is red hot. It's the same reason why he wanted Anthony Pettis after the win over Wonder Boy. He's always looking for the guy who's red hot. And right now, you can make a case that Masvidal is quote-unquote hotter than Covington and Usman, who are the guys who are fighting for the belt. So why not? Everything that Nate did on Saturday night was just amazing. It was gold. Anyone who says that Nate Diaz and his brother Nick are not smart, aren't good self-promoters, you have no idea what you're talking about. It was all amazing. From the in-cage stuff to the post-fight stuff, it was all absolutely spectacular, Chael. And you know what was so great about that whole scene? To your point about like the respect thing, and by the way, I totally disagree. These guys aren't heels. Are you kidding me? They're beloved. They're like the biggest baby faces on the planet. Anyway, listen, did you look at Jorge Masvidal's face and his manager, Abraham Kawa, when he called him out? I mean, the smiles on their face. Usually when you call someone out, it's like, you're coming after me. No, they had smiles. It was like the cash register. I can actually see it. I could see like the cha-ching, 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 cha-ching going off because they knew they were about to get paid. Jorge Masvidal, what has he been saying? Oh, I want a title shot. No more title shot now. I want the baddest MFer title, and that's the Nate Diaz fight.
Yes, but we're saying the same thing here. That's what was so special about this call-out. It wasn't based on some kind of manufactured problem or heat. Nate has said from the beginning, and if you were to take him at his word, and it's one of the reasons that makes him so endearing and charming, is you can always take him at his word. He said about himself, I feel slighted. I've been here longer than all these guys. I came through the Ultimate Fighter. I did the heavy lifting. Somebody give me the attention and the recognition I deserve. When he finally had that golden ticket, when he had a sold-out arena that was there to see him, everybody on this card that was given a bonus all owes Nate Diaz a big thank you. When he had that moment, he was a man of his word. He extended that down. He didn't crawl up in the loft and pull the ladder up behind him. He got in the loft and dropped the ladder down. So now Jorge Masvidal, who meets the description that Nate Diaz says should be praised and should be appreciated, can now come up and join in that too. I thought it was very special. I really liked it. Ariel, may we please spend a minute on the X's and O's of this fight, though? Nobody kicks Anthony Pettis' butt. It has never happened. Nobody runs over Anthony Pettis. Nate Diaz dominated for 3 rounds Anthony Pettis. It was remarkable. Nobody does that, particularly a guy coming off the couch after a 3-year layoff. George St. Pierre himself said it is the best Nate Diaz has ever looked, and George nailed it.
Yep, he looked amazing. I was supremely impressed. The other thing is that now it puts a lot of pressure on the UFC to get this fight done, right? I mean, it's not often that Nate is very clear about what he wants. Usually he's like beating around the bush, or he's calling out someone who's completely unattainable, a Khabib Nurmagomedov while he's champion. Here he is coming out and very clearly saying, I want this fight. And Masvidal has said, I want this fight. You got to make this fight, right? Like, you've already now teased everyone. Now it's on the UFC. Pick the date, pay the guys what they want, and make this fight. Because if it doesn't happen, I think a lot of people are going to be very disappointed.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and special content, subscribe to ESPN+.